Today, we found everything from a Survivor Shelby GT350 worth nearly 200 grand to a wild 502-powered custom Chevy built for $400,000. And honestly, some of these classic cars might be the coolest deals we've seen all year.
Car number 1, 1969 Triumph TR6, $25,500. Port Washington, New York. All right, kicking things off with something a little different from the usual American muscle lineup, this 1969 Triumph TR6. And honestly, this thing just screams old-school weekend driving. Black exterior, beige interior, top-down, manual transmission. This is the kind of car you take out early on a cool summer morning just to hear the engine echo through back roads. The seller says it's got 81,000 miles, no rust, new shocks, new battery, and only minor blemishes. That's actually a big deal on a British roadster from the late 60s because rust usually eats these things alive if they weren't cared for. Now, the TR6 came from the factory with a 2.5-liter inline-six, making around 104 horsepower in US spec. And while that doesn't sound huge today, these cars are light, low to the ground, and full of personality. You don't drive a TR6 for speed numbers. You drive it for the experience. And look at this thing. Long hood, tiny cockpit, chrome bumpers, classic wire wheel vibe. It feels like something parked outside a beach cafe in 1972. The cool part here is the honesty of the listing. Seller isn't pretending it's a flawless museum car. Minor blemishes, driver quality condition, but solid and rust-free. That's actually the sweet spot for a classic like this because you can enjoy it without being terrified of every rock chip. For 25 grand, this feels like one of those classics you could actually drive regularly and enjoy. Car number 2, 1966 Shelby Cobra Replica, $40,000, Novi, Michigan. Okay, this next one is pure chaos in the best way possible. A 1966 Shelby Cobra Replica, finished in blue with black interior. And if you know anything about Cobras, you already know these cars are completely ridiculous. The original Shelby Cobras were lightweight British sports cars stuffed with massive American V8 power, and they became absolute monsters on the street and racetrack. Originals today are worth insane money, so replicas like this are how most enthusiasts get the experience. This one's a B&B manufacturing kit car completed in 2006. Under the hood is a 302 Ford V8, bored .040 over, ported and polished, paired to a 5-speed manual and 3.55 posi rear end. Translation: this thing is probably terrifyingly fun. The seller says it runs and drives great with only minor paint imperfections, and honestly, that's exactly what you want from a Cobra-style car. These aren't supposed to feel delicate. They're loud, raw, aggressive, and a little bit sketchy. You sit basically on the pavement, the side pipes scream right next to your ears, and every throttle input feels dramatic. And visually, nothing looks like a Cobra. Tiny windshield, massive fenders, wide stance, even parked, it looks fast. 40 grand for this kind of experience honestly sounds pretty tempting if somebody wants old-school race car energy without spending 6 or 7 figures.
Car number 3, 1964 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray convertible, $84,999, Windham, Maine. Now this is serious collector territory. A 1964 Corvette Stingray convertible in silver blue with blue interior. And wow, this car just looks elegant. Mid-year Corvettes are already considered some of the most beautiful American cars ever built, and the 64 model has that clean Stingray styling without getting too overcomplicated. This one's numbers matching, with the original 327 V8, and the seller says it received a frame-off restoration back in 2010. That matters because frame-off restorations are expensive and time-consuming. Basically, the car gets stripped down completely and rebuilt piece by piece. And from the description, this one sounds properly sorted. Rust-free frame, garage-kept, rally wheels, runs and drives excellent. The 327 small block V8 is one of Chevrolet's all-time great engines too. Smooth, rev-happy, reliable, and it fits the personality of these mid-year Corvettes perfectly. And let's be honest, the color combination here is gorgeous. Silver blue paint with matching blue interior feels peak 1960s America. This isn't the kind of car you modify heavily. This is the kind of car you preserve, cruise, and maybe park front row at Cars and Coffee while older guys tell you stories about the one they almost bought back in 1978. At almost 85 grand, it's definitely not cheap, but clean mid-year Corvettes rarely are. Car number 4. 1968 Oldsmobile Cutlass S, $25,900, North Canton, Ohio. Now we're getting into muscle car territory again, and this one sounds mean. A 1968 Oldsmobile Cutlass S with a built numbers-matching 350, aluminum heads, roller rockers, Muncie 4-speed, and a Ford 9-inch rear. Yeah, somebody definitely built this car to be driven hard. The seller says it's a frame-off build with all new tubular suspension, fresh brakes, radiator, distributor, water pump, basically a long list of performance upgrades. And honestly, this feels like one of those old-school street machines you'd see terrorizing local cruise nights. The blue-on-blue combo sounds awesome too. There's something about late 60s GM muscle cars in blue that just works. And I like that the seller admits there's some patina. Not every classic needs to look over-restored. Sometimes a little wear gives the car character. The Muncie M21 4-speed alone makes this thing sound fun. Rowing gears and a lightweight Cutlass with a built Rocket 350 probably feels fantastic. Plus, those Mickey Thompson street radios tell you immediately what this car is about. This isn't a trailer queen. This is a stoplight car. Car number 5. $1966 Buick Skylark, $12,900, Berkshire, New York. And honestly, this might be one of the best deals in today's lineup. A 1966 Buick Skylark with the original 300 V8, Powerglide automatic, factory AC, rally wheels, and supposedly under 27,000 miles. For under 13 grand, that's pretty interesting. The seller says the car has been driven regularly over the last 5 years, which honestly is a good sign. Classics usually stay healthier when they're actually used. It also has some smart upgrades like front disc brakes, newer tires, upgraded ignition components, and a water pump. Now, the Skylark sometimes gets overlooked because people focus on Chevelles and GTOs from the same era, but these mid-60s Buicks are comfortable cruisers with great styling. And this one sounds honest. Original motor, original interior, factory AC that still needs a blower motor, and a car that simply runs, rides, and drives very well. That's the kind of description I trust. Not every classic car needs to be a 6-figure investment or a fire-breathing drag car. Sometimes you just want something cool, affordable, and enjoyable. And this Buick feels exactly like that. Car number 6, 1950 Chevrolet Custom Victory, $93,000, Quincy, Massachusetts. All right, this thing is completely over the top. A custom 1950 Chevrolet Custom called Victory, and apparently this build took 10 years and around $400,000 to complete. Yeah, this isn't your average custom build. The car has a 502 big block under the hood, custom paint, massive chrome and stainless detailing, and according to the seller, it was even a Riddler contender, which is a huge deal in the custom car world. And honestly, even hearing the description, you can picture it already. Endless polished metal, insane paint depth, perfect body lines, show quality, everything. Cars like this are rolling artwork more than transportation. The seller says it's won 28 major awards nationwide and only has around 159 miles since completion. That's crazy. This is the kind of car that spends more time under spotlights at indoor shows than it does on public roads. And whether custom cars are your thing or not, you have to respect the craftsmanship. 10 years of work is serious dedication. Car number 7, 1962 Chevrolet Corvette Convertible, $70,000, Wayne, Pennsylvania. Now this is old-school Corvette history. A 1962 Corvette convertible with a fuel-injected 327 and 4-speed manual. That combination alone makes this car special. The seller says it's been in one family since 1987 and still has the original interior, plus the original engine, which was rebuilt. And 1962 was a huge year for Corvette because it was the final year before the Stingray redesign arrived in 1963. So this car represents the end of the first-generation Corvette era. The Rochester fuel injection setup was cutting-edge technology back then too. Chevrolet advertised these engines as making 1 horsepower per cubic inch, which was a massive bragging point in the early 60s. And honestly, silver exterior with black interior on a C1 Corvette is timeless. The seller also mentions it's a former show winner with known history, which collectors love. This feels like one of those cars that would get surrounded instantly at any local car meet. Car number 8, 1967 Shelby GT350, $187,500, Quag, New York. Okay, now we're talking serious collector-grade muscle. A 1967 Shelby GT350 that's apparently an extremely original, unrestored survivor. And survivor cars are a huge deal because so many old muscle cars were modified, raced, wrecked, or restored multiple times over the decades. This one still has its original sheet metal, fiberglass, date code correct parts, original carburetor, original intake, original wheels, basically all the stuff collectors obsess over. Powered by the legendary 289 Hypo V8, this car represents the golden era of Carroll Shelby performance. The seller even says it won a SAC Survivor Class award back in 2005, which adds serious credibility. And honestly, this is the type of car you don't really improve, you preserve it. The fact that it still runs and drives properly after all these years is amazing too. Almost $190,000 sounds massive, but for a documented Shelby survivor, that's the world we're living in now.
Car number 9. 1967 Ford Galaxy 500 convertible, $29,000, Salisbury, Maryland. This next one feels like pure summertime America. A 1967 Ford Galaxy 500 convertible finished in silver with a black and gray two-tone interior. Big body, long lines, chrome everywhere, top down, this thing just looks like a highway cruiser. The custom wheels with red accents probably make it stand out even more in person, too. And honestly, Galaxies don't always get the attention Mustangs do, but they have a totally different personality. These were big, comfortable cars, designed for long-distance cruising. You can picture this thing floating down the highway with old rock music playing through the speakers. The floor shifter and custom gauges give it a slightly more aggressive vibe, too. This feels like the kind of classic you bring to local cruise nights and just relax in. Car number 10, 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1, $29,000, Boxford, Massachusetts. And finally, we're ending today with a 1971 Mustang Mach 1. Now, the 71 Mustangs were bigger and heavier than the earlier cars, but they also looked aggressive as hell. This one's finished in ocean blue with argent silver accents, plus front and rear spoilers and rear window louvers. Basically, peak early 70s muscle styling. Under the hood is a 302 V8 paired with a Borg-Warner Qi 5-speed manual. And the seller says the car underwent an 8-year restoration before they bought it. That's a huge amount of work. The upgrade sounds smart too. 4 wheel-powered disc brakes, suspension work, fresh interior pieces, newer exhaust. And I like the honesty here again. Seller admits it still has some nicks and scratches because they actually drive the car. Good. Classic cars should be driven. And honestly, for under 30 grand, this feels like a pretty cool entry point into Mach 1 ownership.
All right, so which one are you taking home? The Survivor Shelby GT350 the fuel-injected '62 Corvette, that insane custom '50 Chevy, or maybe one of the affordable cruisers like the Skylark or Galaxy? Drop your favorite in the comments because I always like seeing which cars people connect with the most. And if you enjoy real classic cars for sale with honest walkarounds and detailed stories behind them, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and stick around because we've got more rare muscle cars and vintage classics coming up very soon.